Hey everyone, Stacks here, and welcome to the channel. Today we are talking Powers of X number 3 by Jonathan Hickman, with art by R.B. Silva. Now for any of you wondering, there was a change in the order of the books. It did go from House of X, Power of X, House of X, Power of X to a second Power of X in a row. It's by design, you didn't miss anything, so just stay on board. I also realize it's Power of 10, but I like Power of X better. The book starts with a white page with a quote from Apocalypse saying, "I am immortal, I have no end." A very subtle way for Apocalypse to be telling everybody I'm kind of a big deal. From there we go to a church of some kind that humans are attending, and a priest is out front basically informing everyone, all the humans, that you are slaves. You will bow before your machine masters. And the priest here shows exactly how far humankind has fallen and how corrupted and despicable it has become. And then they add these cybernetics to a baby, and they're sitting there saying, yes, we know this is painful, but this is true evolution. And as he sits there and says that it's better to serve in heaven and serve these robot gods with a little g than it is to be the ruler of hell, there's a huge explosion behind him. And stepping forth out of this explosion, looking for a fight, you have 4 mutants. Fortunately, we also have 2 white pages describing who and what these mutants are and what their mutant abilities are. Zorn we already know, he's a mutant purebred. Rasputin we already know about because of Powers of X number 1. We get more details on Priest, who's a cardinal, and we find out he's a combination of Nightcrawler, Jean Grey, and Ajax. And the green-dressed Magneto is actually named North and is a combination of Emma Frost and Polaris. I'll talk more detail about those white pages at the end. So as this attack kicks off, Nimrod is notified. However, he makes it very clear that he does not have time to deal with this, actually saying, "And why should I care? I'm busy disassembling the variables of our recent incursion and can't be bothered with man." After he gets some more details about it, he's confused as to why the mutants would be attacking the church of all places. And after they creep off into a philosophical debate about the importance of dreams, suddenly alarms start going off everywhere. Now as those alarms are going off, number 2 here starts saying, look, there's something inconsistent here with their actions. It bothers me. We need to go investigate. And Nimrod, in his arrogance, just says this is of their flawed nature. It's just part of them. We shouldn't be surprised. And regardless, I don't care. Take care of it yourself. So she takes off saying, suit yourself. And Nimrod holds up this piece of information, this piece of data, and says, I always do. Back at the battle, Cardinal or Priest, whichever his name is, he is actually explaining how he took one of the pills that helped clear up his mind, and he is naturally a pacifist, but he's been pushed to his limits. So he took this pill so he can actually fight. And even though he didn't want to do it, he saw the right, that it was right to stand up and fight at this point. Not only that, he tells the humans, I would choose my end over yours any day. You betray your own for what? The favor of those who find contempt in your very existence. And it's clear that this guy he's talking to they've just made gods out of these machines. And he says, I do it for the great machine who is our better. I do it for my God. And at that moment, reinforcements arrive. And of course, it's Nimrod's counterpart with at least a dozen Sentinels with her. And that's when it's revealed that that team, their whole job is to buy time for Apocalypse and his team. So Apocalypse's team consists of Wolverine and Famine, who's actually a combination of Krakoa and Cypher. It's pretty cool in my opinion that Apocalypse, of course, has his 4 Horsemen, so I'll talk about that at the end though. But what they're doing is following up on the lead from Powers of X1, where they found the directory, essentially, of where certain information was located. And what they're trying to get is when Nimrod came online and when it was developed. Well, unfortunately for them, when they enter this facility, all kinds of alerts and alarms go off, and that draws Nimrod's attention. And when he sees Apocalypse is actually there, he realizes that something bigger is afoot. Back at the node where Apocalypse and his team are at, it doesn't take Famine long at all to get the information that is needed and extract it into a crystal information USB device. But right as they're about to begin extraction, Wolverine smells something and knows something isn't quite right. And as he looks around the corner, he takes a full blast from Nimrod and just almost disintegrates him. Back with the team that was in a delaying action, the fight is starting to end. Everyone is down except for Rasputin. Zorn's down on the ground. He's been injured. In part desperation and in part last stand, Rasputin tells him, look, do you know what happens if we pull this mask off of him? He has a singularity, basically a black hole. And this is where Red here makes a really interesting comment. She says, a singularity? I don't think you will. You people care too much about holding on, even when you have nothing to hold on to. Besides, do you have any idea what lies at the heart of a real black hole? I'll give you a hint. It's where we're headed. It's where we're all headed. And Rasputin smiles and says, you know what? You're right. I don't know. So let's find out. And she pulls the mask off and everything just starts getting sucked in to the localized black hole that it was Zorn's head. Back with Apocalypse, he hands Wolverine the information they need and tells him, go back, you know what to do with it. Wolverine, despite the fact that he's just been scalded, his arm is sitting there looking like steak. You can see his chrome or his adamantium skull. And Wolverine responds, no, you go, I'll stay. Apocalypse looks down and says, if you could see what you look like, you would know how foolish that sounds. Go, I'll be right behind you. And he just squares up against all these Nimrods. And Logan beats feet, and the fight is on. And the fight here is pretty amazing, but throughout it all, Nimrod is talking about how the pinnacle of mutants, the one that is older than the world, the one that is fittest of all, how sad it must be to know that natural selection has brought you here. And while Apocalypse puts up a good fight, actually taking out a couple of the Nimrod machines, ultimately he too falls in this fight. Back on Asteroid K, Wolverine awakens Moira from the sarcophagus she's been in stasis within. And apparently she's been put in this status because she was severely injured during a Sentinel attack many years ago. He tells her, look, I have it. Apocalypse knew we might be on a clock, so he created some kind of way to force feed you this information into your mind, so just hold still. And he puts the crystal towards her chest, and the tentacles reach out, grab it, and it just feeds the information to her head almost instantly. Wolverine confirms that she's got all the information, then she looks over and asks, what now? And he says, the boss said if we succeeded, to send you on your way because there's nothing left to save here. And Wolverine, a man of many sorrows, has to look at her and apologize and say, I'm sorry. She looks and says, it's okay. I have what I need now. And this is what you do. And you get this beautiful shot that's both painful and very hopeful in that she's going back with that information. And you get it down at the bottom saying, so ended the 9th life of Moira X. From there, we have a couple white pages. The first one, after watching what just happened with Apocalypse, is particularly keen. It's, and should forever end. Let me die in battle, surrounded by my fallen enemies, and with blood on my sword. The second set of white pages is an extended timeline. It has additional information that wasn't included on the original timeline. It has a lot more information on Moira 9th life, including different things like assassination attempts on Apocalypse, how she was injured, when she was injured by the Sentinel program. Interesting to note here that there is still no information on her 6th life or anything that happened during their 6th life. So the pages I skipped earlier, the white pages, coming back to those, one of them was the surviving mutants within the solar system. The first page showed Apocalypse and his 4 horsemen. Wolverine as War, Zorn as Death, North as Pestilence. North was the Emma Frost and Polaris mutant, Chimera, 2nd generation. And the 4th one was Famine, which was the Krakoa Cypher mutant. The second page showed Rasputin, Cardinal, and then the 2 who were previously deceased, Silva and Percival. It also showed one referred to as Mother, which if you look under it, it's Akaba, which I looked into that, and the only one I could find was a descendant of Apocalypse, but he was a dude, so I'm not sure who that is. Y'all can let me know down in the comments below. Now, I do have to say a couple things moving forward. I think Nimrod has a plan for this. For some reason, something about the way he was approaching it, it seems like he was onto their agenda, that he knew they were trying to travel back. And if he does know that, then that's pretty scary. That being said, going into the 10th life, knowing where Nimrod and knowing where that program began becomes really, really interesting. Because maybe, just maybe, they have a way to stop this thing before it ever starts. So while this comic book did have a couple reveals in it, it was a lot more straightforward than the other couple have been, and there's not as much to break down, which I'm not disappointed about. But I'm really looking forward to House of X number 3, because I'm waiting to see Scott Summers go and take out this mother mold. And I can't wait to see what team he takes with him. Anyways, guys, I will be covering the rest of the Dawn of X, the House of X and Power of 10 series. And when the series splits into the 6 different titles, I'm going to be covering them as well. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. It's like leaving a tip for somebody doing YouTube videos, especially for a small channel like this. And for all those who have hit the subscribe button here in the last couple weeks, thank you so much. My channel is growing, and I really appreciate all of you guys' help doing that. But hey, smash that like button, leave a comment below, tell me what you think, tell me what I missed, because I usually miss something, and you guys provide some excellent comments below. But that's all I got, guys. Real Comic Stacks, out!